Welcome to episode number 18 of the Eli Angle podcast. I'm your host, Eli Donnell. Let's dive right into it. Lots of news in the MLB as the season is fully kicked off and underway, starting with the Tigers and Kevin McGonigal have agreed on an 8-year extension worth a guaranteed $150 million so the Tigers lock up their young rookie. Jorge Soler and Reynaldo Lopez's suspensions both reduced from 7 games. Soler's goes to 4. He will be back on Sunday. And Reynaldo Lopez's drops to 5. He will return to his regular starting position when his suspension is up. Mason Miller is on the verge of history. He's on a 29 and 2/3 inning scoreless streak that dates back to August 5th. His last time he allowed a run. He's 4 innings shy of Clay Meredith's franchise record of 33 and 2/3 inning scoreless streak. Harrison Bader placed on the IL for the Giants with a left hamstring strain. Shane McClanahan picks up his first win in 1,033 days in the Rays' 8-5 victory over the White Sox. He missed the last 2 seasons due to left elbow injuries, Tommy John the first, and then nerve injuries the second. He picks up his first win, a big one. Kenley Jansen moves to third all-time in saves with 479. That passes Lee Smith. He trails Trevor Hoffman, who's at 601, and Mariano Rivera, who's at 652. He's got a lot of work to do to try and pass and break those records. J.J. Weatherholt had his first career multi-homer game with the Cardinals' 10-8 victory over the Guardians on Tuesday. And Jordan Walker, he is leading the league in home runs. He's got 8, a resurgent year for the Cardinals. Former prospect, now turned into hopefully a slugger. Moving into golf, Rory McIlroy wins his second straight Masters at 12 under by 1 shot over Scottie Scheffler. It took Rory a substantial number of years to win the Masters. He finally gets it done last year and now wins his second back-to-back. He becomes the first since Tiger did it back in 2001-2002, and he joins the list of 3 men. Tiger Woods, of course. Sir Nick Faldo did it in 89 and 90, and Jack Nicklaus did it in 65 and 66. 30th career win for Rory, his first since the 2025 Masters, and Scottie Scheffler made history in his second-place finish. He became the first player in the last 84 years to go bogey-free on the final 36 holes. He went bogey-free on Saturday and on Sunday and finishes 1 shot back at 11 under over Rory. RBC Heritage is on deck at Hilton Head Island at Harbortown Golf Links at Hilton Head Island. Justin Thomas set to defend his title. And the big news out of Live Golf, the PIF in Saudi Arabia is on the verge of ending their funding of Live. There's been speculation over the last 48 hours of this happening. Players questioning if they're going to have the event this week in Mexico City. They are playing the Pro-Am today. We've seen guys like Phil who have stepped away from Live. He hasn't played a Live event in a very long time. Brooks Koepka, he left Live. And Patrick Reed has left Live. What is happening with Live? We will find out. They have a couple meetings scheduled for tomorrow, which is the earliest we could get an announcement from Live Golf on their future. And that brings in the question, if Live does happen to shut down, what happens to those guys who left the PGA Tour? John Rahm, major champion. Cam Smith, a major champion. Other guys, Bubba Watson, a major champion. Sergio, multiple major champions. He's left, all these guys left PGA Tour to go aspire to Live, lighter schedule. They get to wear shorts, a lot of other different perks. Live has done fair, I would say, for what they were trying to do. And if they would have stuck with normal golf rules, I saw a tweet about it earlier, it could have helped progress them to trying to maybe not beat the PGA Tour, but pull some of these other big names over. They dropped to 36 holes, a shotgun start. They changed the rules so much it made it more of a competition than it did an agreement. If it could have been more of an agreement style between PGA and Live, it could have worked out better for Live. They could have gotten funding from the PGA Tour. Would have been nice to see them maybe intertwine and become almost like a competition between the two, rather, PGA Tour versus Live players rather than PGA Tour versus Live Golf Tour, where now they are more enemies going against each other. Whereas it would have been cool to make them see it as two different teams and not almost a Ryder Cup style between Live Golf and PGA Tour. I digress. Moving into the NHL. The Stanley Cup final teams are set. 16 of them. Let's run through them quick. In the West, it's going to be the Golden Knights, the Mammoth, the Oilers, the Ducks, the Avalanche, the Kings, the Stars, and the Wild. And in the East, it's going to be the Sabres, the Bruins, the Lightning, the Canadiens, the Hurricanes, the Senators, the Penguins, and the Flyers. We'll have a full Stanley Cup preview coming up later this week, hopefully on Friday. That's where we will dive more into NHL and the standings as the East is set. We know what's happening in the East. The West is a crapshoot. No one knows who's playing who yet, minus the Dallas and Minnesota series, the only series set in the West. They're still looking for a champion in the Pacific. That could be decided as early as tonight on Wednesday. A full slate of games today, another full slate of games tomorrow to wrap up the 82-game regular season. Connor McDavid moving into the league leaders. Connor McDavid leads skaters in points at 134, and he's tied with Nikita Kucherov in assists at 86. Nathan McKinnon leads in goals at 53. Evan Bouchard leads defensemen in points at 92 and assists at 71. Jacob Chikrin leads in goals at 26. Ivan Demidov leads in points at 62 and assists at 43. And Beckett Seneca leads in goals at 23. Those two have seemed to, all of these guys have been, it's been the same guys atop all season, not much change. Scott Wedgwood leads in goalies in goals against at 2.07 and saves percentage at .920. In the NFL, the draft begins on Thursday, April 23rd. We'll do a more in-depth look on next week's episode. Big news out of college football. Iowa would vacate wins due to tampering when they were getting Cade McNamara to come over to Iowa. Head coach Kirk Ferentz and assistant coach John Budmeyer are the two that the NCAA has looked at while they were recruiting Cade McNamara in season. Throughout November 2022, Budmeyer had 13 phone calls with McNamara, with either McNamara and or his father, and they sent 2 texts while in season. A lot of penalties opposed. So 1 year probation, a $25,000 fine by the school, a 2-week ban on football recruiting communications during the 2026 calendar year, that also by the University of Iowa. 24-day reduction in recruiting person days, 2 weeks in which Ferentz was prohibited from off-campus recruiting in 2025, and 4 days in which Budmeyer was prohibited during the 2025 spring evaluation, that also by the school. Vacate of all wins in which McNamara was eligible. He did suffer a knee injury during this season, which this was the 2024 season, So they vacate wins against Utah State, Iowa State, Michigan State, and Western Michigan. All those wins vacated. So Cade McNamara in that season goes 0-5. No wins credited to Iowa in that season. We'll wrap it up with some NCAA baseball and the rankings. UCLA 1, Georgia Tech 2, North Carolina 3, Texas 4, Georgia 5, Oregon State 6, Coastal Carolina number 7, Florida State number 8, Virginia 9, Texas A&M at number 10, Alabama 11, USC 12, Auburn 13, Oklahoma 14, West Virginia 15, Arkansas 16, Mississippi State 17, Kansas 18, Oregon 19, Florida 20, UCF 21, Southern Miss 22, ASU 23, Boston College 24, and Ole Miss 25. Nebraska and LSU, the 2 teams to drop out of the top 25 rankings. So that will do it for this week's episode, a little bit shorter as we have a smaller look at the NHL, but we'll have an in-depth look at the Stanley Cup Finals, which begin on Saturday. We'll do a full preview on Fridays. We should have all of the division winners from both sides, times, networks, and all the other fun stuff that goes along in the Stanley Cup final, and who will hoist Lord Stanley come May, June. Depends on how many games we go to. May or June, we will figure out who's lifting Lord Stanley. So that's all I have for you this week. So long.